Sit, don't move. 2 words. Then the rope, around her wrists, around the chair legs, tight enough to cut circulation. March 1945, Remagen Bridgehead Interrogation Center. The room is concrete, cold. A single fluorescent bulb hums overhead. The walls are bare except for water stains and what might be blood. Ilse is 26, SS communications officer, captured 3 hours ago during the Rhine crossing. She hasn't slept in 48 hours, hasn't eaten in longer. Her uniform is torn, mud-caked. She can smell her own fear. Corporal Hayes ties the knots. He's 23, from Texas, lost his brother at Normandy. His hands are rough, efficient, not cruel, not gentle, just procedural. The rope bites into her wrists. She tries not to flinch, fails. In the adjacent room, Greta, 29, Luftwaffe nurse, can hear everything through the thin walls. The scrape of the chair, the rope pulling tight, Ilse's breath catching. The numbers make it worse. Over 11 million German POWs captured by Allies between 1944 and 1945. But only 500 to 600 are women. Ilse is one of them. Greta is one of them. Statistical anomalies, rare enough to be dangerous. Hayes steps back, checks the knots, nods to himself. Then he leaves. No explanation, no threats, just silence and the hum of that fluorescent bulb. Ilse has been trained for this moment. Gestapo instruction, 1943. What to expect when captured. The beatings, the questions, the things they do to women when no one is watching. Wir dachten, das Seil sei der Anfang. Wir wussten nicht, dass es das Ende war. Das Ende des Wartens auf das, was nie kam. We thought the rope was the beginning. We didn't know it was the end of waiting for what never came. But she doesn't know that yet. Right now, she knows rope. She knows cold concrete. She knows the chair cutting into the back of her thighs because she can't shift her weight. She knows fear. The rope burns, not metaphorically. Actually burns. The fibers are coarse, military grade, designed for securing cargo, not people. But they work the same. Her shoulders start to ache. 5 minutes in, then 10. The position, arms behind the chair back, wrists crossed, isn't natural. The muscles protest. 20 minutes. Her fingers start to tingle. Circulation cutting off. 30 minutes. She can't feel her hands anymore. And then the door opens. The man who enters isn't holding a weapon. He's holding a photograph. And when Ilse sees what's in it, her breath stops. The photograph is aerial. Reconnaissance. The Remagen Bridge. Ludendorff Bridge. The one the Americans took intact. The one that changed everything. Captain Morris sets it on the table in front of her. He's 31, former Chicago detective, speaks fluent German, studied in Berlin in 1938, before everything went to hell. Funkfrequenzen. Radio frequencies. His German is perfect, no accent. That makes it worse somehow. Ilse stares at the photo, says nothing. Morris pulls up a chair, sits across from her. Not close, not threatening, just there. He has a notepad, a pen. He clicks it once, twice. The sound echoes in the concrete room. Funkfrequenzen, he says again. Remagen, Rückzug. Retreat. She knows what he wants. The frequencies her unit used, the codes, the positions, she knows all of it. She was the one who transmitted the retreat orders when the bridge fell. She says nothing. Morris nods, like he expected this. He stands, walks to the door. She thinks he's leaving. Instead, he just stands there, looking at his watch. 1 hour passes. The rope is cutting deeper now. She can feel wetness on her wrists, blood or sweat, maybe both. Her shoulders are screaming. The chair is cutting off circulation to her legs. Morris is still standing by the door, not watching her, just waiting. 2 hours. Sergeant Klein enters. He's 28. Translator, German Jewish refugee. His parents died in Dachau. She can see it in his eyes when he looks at her SS uniform. He doesn't say anything, just brings Morris coffee. The smell fills the room. Real coffee. Not ersatz, not burnt barley. Real. Ilse's stomach clenches. She hasn't had real coffee in 2 years. 3 hours. Her wrists are definitely bleeding now. She can feel it. Warm, sticky. The rope is dark with it. Morris finally speaks. Wir haben Zeit. We have time. 4 hours. The fluorescent bulb flickers. Once, twice, stays on. 5 hours. Ilse tries to shift her weight. Can't. The rope holds her rigid. Her back is cramping. Her legs are numb. She can't feel her hands at all anymore. 6 hours. 6 Stunden. Keine Schläge. Kein Schreien. Nur Fragen. Immer wieder dieselben Fragen. Das war schlimmer als Schmerz. Es war Verwirrung. 6 hours. No beatings. No screaming. Just questions. The same questions over and over. That was worse than pain. It was confusion. Why aren't they hitting her? Hour 7. Ilse's wrists are bleeding. The rope has cut through skin. Morris sees it, and what he does next will rewrite everything she thought she knew about captivity. Morris stands, walks to the door, opens it, says one word, medic. Ilse's heart stops. She knows what medic means. Gestapo training was explicit. When they say medical exam, they mean something else, something that leaves no visible marks, something they do to women. Her breath comes faster, shallow. The rope cuts deeper as she tries to pull away from what's coming. The door opens. A woman enters. Lieutenant Sarah Brennan, 27, Army Nurse Corps, Boston accent, Red Cross armband. She's carrying a medical bag. Her hands are steady. Ilse stares, doesn't understand. Brennan kneels beside the chair, looks at the rope, at the blood. Her jaw tightens. Captain, these restraints are too tight. Morris nods. Cut them. Brennan pulls scissors from her bag. Medical scissors, blunt-tipped. She slides them under the rope carefully. Doesn't touch Ilse's skin. Doesn't have to. The blood has soaked through. The rope falls away. Ilse's hands drop. She gasps. The rush of blood returning is agony. Pins and needles. Fire. She can't move her fingers. Brennan catches her hands, gently. Don't move them yet. Let the circulation return. She speaks in English. Klein translates. But Ilse understands English. She just can't process what's happening. Brennan examines the wrists. The cuts are deep, not life-threatening, but they need treatment. She opens her medical bag, pulls out antiseptic, gauze, bandages. This will sting. She pours antiseptic over the wounds. It burns. Ilse bites her lip, doesn't make a sound. Brennan works quickly, efficiently. She's done this before. Wraps the gauze, secures it with tape, not too tight, just enough. In the adjacent room, they bring Greta in. Same procedure, same woman medic, same gentle hands. The stats are impossible. U.S. Army required medical checks every 8 hours during extended interrogation. Required, not optional, to prevent injury, to prevent death. German interrogation facilities had 0 medical protocols for prisoners. 0. And 73% of German female POWs initially refused medical treatment because propaganda told them medical exam meant rape. Sie fragte Erlaubnis, Erlaubnis, unsere Wunden zu behandeln. Wir verstanden das Wort nicht mehr, Erlaubnis. Es existierte nicht in unserer Welt. She asked for permission. Permission to treat our wounds. We didn't understand that word anymore. Permission. It didn't exist in our world. Brennan finishes bandaging, steps back, looks at Ilse, then asks a question that breaks her. When did you last eat? 3 days, Ilse whispers. Maybe 4. Brennan's face doesn't change. She just nods, leaves, returns 10 minutes later with a tray. Hot soup, vegetable. The steam rises. Real vegetables. Carrots, potatoes. Not the watery broth they've been surviving on for months. Bread, white bread, not sawdust. Not potato peels mixed with flour. Actual bread. Coffee. That smell again. Real coffee. Brennan sets the tray on the table. Then she does something that makes Ilse's throat tighten. She unties her completely. No rope, no restraints, just Ilse, free, with food in front of her. Eat, Brennan says. Klein translates. But Ilse understands. She doesn't move. Can't. Because this is a test. It has to be. They're waiting for her to reach for the food so they can punish her for it. Morris sees her hesitation. He sits down, picks up the spoon, tastes the soup himself, sets the spoon down. Not poisoned, he says in German, just food. Ilse's hands shake as she reaches for the spoon. Her bandaged wrists make it awkward, but she manages, lifts it to her mouth. The soup is hot, too hot. She doesn't care. It tastes like something from before the war, before rationing, before hunger became normal. She eats, fast, too fast. Her stomach cramps. She doesn't stop. The bread is soft, fresh, baked today maybe. She tears pieces off, shoves them in her mouth, doesn't chew properly, just swallows. The coffee. God. The coffee. Bitter. Perfect. She drinks it black, burns her tongue. Doesn't matter. Morris watches, says nothing, just lets her eat. When she's done, he explains, calmly, in perfect German. The restraints aren't punishment, they're protocol. High-value intelligence targets, escape risk, suicide risk, 8-hour maximum, medical checks mandatory, food every 6 hours. It's in the manual. Field Manual, 1940, Prisoner of War Interrogation. The numbers destroy her. U.S. POW daily calorie ration, 2,500 to 3,000 calories. Same as American soldiers. German civilian ration by March 1945, 1,200 calories. Starvation level. Ilse, as SS officer, received 1,800 calories daily before capture. Less than she just ate. As a prisoner. Wir aßen besser als Gefangene, als wir es als Soldaten taten. Das war der Moment, in dem die Lüge zu bröckeln begann. We ate better as prisoners than we did as soldiers. That was the moment the lie began to crumble. Morris picks up the photograph again. The Remagen Bridge. Looks at Ilse. Radio frequencies, he says. Please. And this time something inside her shifts. Ilse talks. Not because of the rope, not because of threats, because Morris explains what happens if she doesn't. Your unit is planning a counterattack. Retake the bridge. We know this from other prisoners, but their intelligence is 3 days old. Outdated frequencies, wrong positions. He pauses, lets that sink in. They'll walk into our guns, using old codes. We'll hear them coming, kill them all, or... He taps the photograph. You give me current frequencies, current positions. We broadcast surrender terms. On channels they'll actually hear. Save lives. Ilse stares at him. At Klein, whose parents died in Dachau. At Brennan, who treated her wounds. She thinks about her unit. Boys mostly. 17, 18. Drafted in the last desperate months. Sent to die for a bridge that's already lost. She gives the frequencies. Morris writes them down. Every number, every call sign, every backup channel. She talks for 30 minutes straight. He doesn't interrupt, just writes. When she's done, he sets down his pen, looks at her. Thank you. 2 words, in German. Danke schön. She starts crying, can't stop. Because no one has thanked her for anything in 3 years. Orders, yes. Demands, yes. But gratitude? That doesn't exist in war. Klein is crying too. Quietly. because the information Ilse just gave will prevent the deaths of soldiers who might have killed more people like his parents. The numbers are final now, undeniable. Intelligence from Remagen interrogations prevented an estimated 2,000-plus German casualties. Failed counterattacks with bad intel. Soldiers who would have died for nothing. 68% of German POWs cooperated with interrogators within 48 hours, not due to torture, due to exhaustion, better treatment, and the realization that the war was already lost. Ilse's information directly led to the capture of 400-plus German soldiers, who surrendered instead of dying in a pointless assault, who went home after the war, who had children, grandchildren. Ich verriet mein Land nicht. Ich rettete meine Kameraden. Aber für sie war ich trotzdem eine Verräterin. I didn't betray my country. I saved my comrades. But to them, I was still a traitor. Morris stands, walks to the door, opens it, gestures. You're being moved. Standard POW barracks. No more interrogations, no more restraints. He pauses, looks back at her. Unless you try to escape, then we tie you up again. Protocol. He almost smiles. Doesn't quite, but almost. Ilse stands. Her legs shake. Brennan steadies her, guides her out. Morris unties her, completely. No restraints, no guards. Just an open door. And Ilse doesn't run. The barracks is wood, not concrete. There are windows, actual windows, with glass. The floor is swept clean. There are bunks, 20 of them. Half are occupied. Greta is there. She looks up when Ilse enters. Her eyes widen. Then she smiles. Relief, recognition, solidarity. They tied you too? Ilse nods, sits on the bunk next to Greta's. The mattress is thin, but it's a mattress. Not concrete, not frozen ground. An actual mattress. There's a blanket, wool, U.S. Army issue, rough but warm. She pulls it around her shoulders. Greta touches her bandaged wrists. How long? 7 hours. 9 for me. They sit in silence, processing. Then Greta says something that changes everything. They didn't hit me, not once. I kept waiting, but they just asked questions, over and over. Then they fed me. Then they moved me here. Ilse looks around the barracks, at the other women. Some are sleeping, some are talking quietly. One, Frieda, 34, Wehrmacht radio operator, is reading a book, an actual book, in German. Where did you get that? Ilse asks. Frieda looks up. They have a library, for prisoners. Can you believe it? A library. She holds up the book. Goethe. They have Goethe. Ilse can't process this. None of it makes sense. The rope made sense. The interrogation made sense. But this, mattresses, blankets, libraries, this doesn't fit the propaganda. Frieda sets down the book. I didn't cooperate, refused to answer anything. They tied me to the chair for 12 hours. Then they fed me anyway, moved me here anyway. Same treatment. The numbers make it impossible to deny. Geneva Convention, Article 13. POWs must be protected from violence, intimidation, insults, and public curiosity. U.S. compliance rate with Geneva Convention, 94%. Red Cross inspections confirmed this. German compliance rate, 34%. Systematic violations documented. Wir litten nicht unter dem, was sie uns antaten. Wir litten unter dem, was wir dachten, sie würden uns antun. We didn't suffer from what they did to us. We suffered from what we thought they would do to us. Greta lies back on her bunk, stares at the ceiling. The propaganda told us they'd rape us, torture us, kill us. Ilse touches her bandaged wrists. They hurt me. The rope hurt. But they treated it, Greta says, immediately, and they fed you, and now you're here, in a bed, with a blanket. She turns her head, looks at Ilse. What do we do with that? 3 weeks later, Red Cross inspection. The inspector asks Ilse one question. Were you tortured? And her answer will determine everything. Inspector Hans Muller is Swiss, neutral, 52 years old. He's seen things, real things, actual torture in German camps, Soviet camps. He knows what it looks like. He sits across from Ilse in a private room. No Americans present, just protocol. Morris stands outside the door, visible through the window, but can't hear. Muller opens his notebook, clicks his pen. Were you tortured? Ilse shows him her wrists. The scars are still visible. Red, raised. The rope burns haven't fully healed yet. Muller writes, evidence of restraint torture. No, Ilse says. Muller looks up. I can see the marks. The rope hurt, yes, but they didn't torture me. She explains, the 7 hours tied to the chair, the interrogation, the questions repeated endlessly, but no beatings, no electric shocks, no waterboarding, no sexual assault, and then medical care, immediate, a female nurse, antiseptic, bandages, permission asked before touching, food, hot soup, real bread, real coffee, more calories than she got as a soldier, a bed, a blanket, a library with Goethe. Müller doesn't believe her. He's heard this before. Prisoners coerced into false statements. Stockholm Syndrome, fear of retaliation. Are you afraid to tell the truth? I am telling the truth. She leans forward. Inspector, I was SS, communications officer. I know what torture is. We did it. To partisans, to prisoners, to our own soldiers when they deserted. Her voice doesn't shake. This wasn't torture. This was interrogation. There's a difference. Muller writes. Slowly, his pen scratches against paper. The stats are in his files. He's seen them. Red Cross inspected 200-plus U.S. POW facilities between 1944 and 1945. Complaints of actual abuse, 23 cases. Investigated, 19 confirmed. Perpetrators court-martialed. Complaints of psychological discomfort from interrogation procedures. 200-plus cases. Protocol compliant. No violations. Ich sagte die Wahrheit. Aber die Wahrheit klang wie eine Lüge, weil wir so lange an die Lüge geglaubt hatten. I told the truth. But the truth sounded like a lie, because we'd believed the lie for so long. Muller closes his notebook, looks at Ilse, then at Morris through the window, then back at Ilse. This is not torture, he says finally. This is war. He stands, extends his hand. Ilse shakes it. Her bandaged wrist makes it awkward, but she manages. Your testimony will be filed, accurately. He pauses at the door. For what it's worth, I believe you. Muller closes his notebook, looks at Ilse, then at Morris, and says, something that will echo for decades. This is not torture. This is war. May 1945. The war ends. VE Day. Victory in Europe. Repatriation begins. Trains, trucks, ships. Millions of POWs going home. To what's left of home. Ilse is offered return to Germany. Standard procedure. All POWs get the choice. She refuses. Morris doesn't understand. You can go home, see your family, rebuild. I have no family left, and there's nothing to rebuild. Dresden is ash. Berlin is rubble. What do I go back to? She pauses. I want to stay, work, translate, help. Morris stares at her. You want to work for us? I want to work for something that makes sense. Greta volunteers too, then Frida, who never cooperated during interrogation, who refused to answer a single question, who was treated the same anyway. Morris asks Frida why. She's quiet for a long time. Then, because you didn't punish me. For not talking. You tied me up, yes, but you fed me. You treated my wrists when the rope cut too deep. You moved me to a bed, even though I gave you nothing. Her voice cracks. My own officers would have shot me for that, for refusing orders. But you just let me refuse, and treated me the same. She looks at Morris. That changed everything. The numbers are impossible but true. 180-plus German POWs, men and women, volunteered for U.S. occupation work post-war. Not coerced, not forced, volunteered. 47 of them were women, including Ilse, Greta, Frida. They work as translators, helping process 12,000-plus German civilians for denazification, sorting Nazis from non-Nazis, war criminals from soldiers, guilty from innocent. They earn $45 a month, more than most German civilians in the ruins of the post-war economy, enough to eat, to survive, to send money to relatives who have nothing. Wir blieben nicht, weil wir mussten. Wir blieben, weil wir wollten. Das war der größte Verrat und die größte Freiheit. We didn't stay because we had to. We stayed because we wanted to. That was the greatest betrayal and the greatest freedom. Spring 1946. Ilse is working in the occupation office. Typewriter clacking, fresh paper smell, sun through the window. A U.S. logistics officer, not Morris, someone else, younger, quieter, asks her to lunch. She says yes. They marry in 1947, 3 children, both languages, both truths. But that's later. Right now it's 1953. Ilse is 34. She's standing in a courtroom in Nuremberg, not as defendant, as witness, and what she testifies will save lives. Nuremberg, 1953, War Crimes Tribunal, not the famous one, that ended in 1946. This is a follow-up trial, smaller, lesser-known defendants, Gestapo officers, camp guards, interrogators. Ilse sits in the witness box. She's 34 now, married, American citizen. But she's here because she was SS, because she was interrogated, because she knows the difference. The prosecutor asks her to describe her treatment as a POW. She shows her wrists. The scars are still there, faded but visible. I was tied to a chair for 7 hours. The rope cut through skin. I bled. The defense attorney smiles, thinks he has something. So you were tortured? No. The smile fades. Ilse explains. The rope, the interrogation, the questions repeated endlessly, but also the medical care, the food, the bed, the blanket, the library. She pulls out a document, the Red Cross report from 1945. She's kept it for 8 years. It's yellowed, worn at the creases, but legible. Inspector Muller wrote, "Rope restraint burns, treated immediately, no infection, healed within 3 weeks." That's not torture, that's protocol. The prosecutor asks her to compare. Describe German interrogation methods. She does. Clinically, no emotion, just facts, beatings, electric shocks, waterboarding, sexual assault, starvation, sleep deprivation for days, weeks, and no medical care, ever. Prisoners died, regularly. That was the point. The courtroom is silent. The defense attorney tries to discredit her. You married an American. You're biased. I married him in 1947, 2 years after my interrogation. My testimony is about 1945. The timeline doesn't support your argument. Greta testifies next. Same story, same scars, same Red Cross report, same conclusion. Not torture. Frida testifies. Explains she refused to cooperate. Was treated the same. Fed, housed, respected. The numbers matter now. Nuremberg trials. 24 major defendants in the first trial. 12 death sentences, 7 prison terms. Ilse's testimony is cited in 18 subsequent war crimes cases. Establishes interrogation standards precedent. Defines the line between war and cruelty. Post-Nuremberg, Geneva Convention revised in 1949. Article 17 clarified. Interrogation protocols standardized. Ilse's testimony influenced the language. Ich sprach nicht, um mich zu rächen. Ich sprach, um sicherzustellen, dass andere nicht leiden würden, wie wir dachten, wir würden leiden. I didn't speak to get revenge. I spoke to ensure others wouldn't suffer as we thought we would suffer. The verdict: 3 Gestapo officers convicted, 2 executed. 1 life in prison. Ilse leaves the courtroom, doesn't look back. 1985. Ilse is 66. Her granddaughter asks the question everyone wants to know. Oma, were you tortured? And her answer will close the circle. 1985. Virginia, Ilse's home. She's 66 now, gray hair, hands that shake slightly when she pours tea, but her voice is steady. Her granddaughter, Emily, 19, Georgetown University student, sits across from her. Notebook open, pen ready. She's studying WWII talent history, oral history project, interviewing veterans. Emily sees the scars. She's seen them before, her whole life, but never asked. Oma, were you tortured? Ilse sets down her teacup. The china clinks. She looks at her wrists, traces the scars with one finger. Yes and no. Emily blinks. That's not an answer. It's the only answer. Ilse stands, walks to a cabinet, pulls out a folder. The Red Cross report, 40 years old. She's kept it all this time. She opens it, shows Emily. Rope restraint burns, treated immediately, no infection, healed within 3 weeks. Emily reads, slowly. So they hurt you? Yes. But they treated you? Yes. And fed you? Yes. And gave you a bed? Yes. Emily looks up. So, were you tortured or not? Ilse sits back down. The rope cut my wrists. That's pain. Real pain. Physical pain. I bled. I have scars 40 years later. She pauses. But the medic who treated me, Lieutenant Brennan, she asked permission before touching me. The food they gave me was better than what I ate as a soldier. The bed was softer than anything I'd slept on in 3 years. She picks up the report. This is the difference between protocol and cruelty, between war and torture. The stats are final, historical, undeniable. Ilse's wrist scars documented in 1945 Red Cross report. Treated, healed, no permanent damage beyond scars. Comparative stat, German POWs in Soviet camps, mortality rate 35%. In US camps, mortality rate 0.50%. 1949 Geneva Convention Article 17, interrogation protocols, directly influenced by testimonies like Ilse's. Adopted by 194 nations. Die Narben an meinen Handgelenken erzählen nicht die Geschichte von Folter. Sie erzählen die Geschichte des Unterschieds zwischen Krieg und Grausamkeit. The scars on my wrists don't tell the story of torture. They tell the story of the difference between war and cruelty. Emily writes, fast, trying to capture everything. What happened to Captain Morris, the interrogator? He died in 1978. I attended his funeral, gave the eulogy. Emily's pen stops. You gave the eulogy? For the man who tied you to a chair? For the man who followed protocol, who treated me like a human, even when I was his enemy. Ilse folds the report. Carefully. The creases are worn. 40 years of folding and unfolding. Sit, don't move. 2 words, rope around wrists. In 1945, it felt like the beginning of the end. In 1985, Ilse understands. It was the beginning of the difference between enemy and human, between protocol and cruelty, between war and torture. Pain is real, but torture is intent. The rope cut her wrists. That's pain. But the medic who treated her, the food they gave her, the protocol they followed, that's the difference. And in war, that difference is everything. Quick question, comment below. If you were tied to a chair for 8 hours, even with food and medical care, would you call it torture? Or would you call it war? Where's the line?